I mean, in reality is, if it's not about the money, then you're in the right place. You play the music from your heart, and whatever happens, if you know, great. If nothing happens, great. You still had a good time doing it, and your music was real, and your people who like you will follow you because they can see that it was real. They came from the right place, you know?
What's up, everybody? Ghost Cult Mag here, welcoming back in our old friend, Billy Biohazard. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I am fantastic. You are battling LA traffic. I am hanging in there myself in Northern California now. And yeah, man, just a tremendous amount of stuff going on in your life. You are so busy. It is unbelievable. I'm so glad you're busy working.
And me too. It's better than being busy in an unemployment line.
For real. You know, it's a wild time in the world that we're looking forward to these reunion shows with Biohazard. I know, I'm sure in like every other interview of all your other projects you're trying to promote, I'm sure that's the number one question asked, like, is this going to happen? When is it going to happen? And you always kept the door open, which I think is great. Obviously the interest is there. The reaction has been amazing by fans and the expectations are very high, but how did the wheels start going in motion for this to happen?
Well, we've talked numerous times, and putting my energy into BillyBio, which is my solo stuff, and Powerflo, which is the band with Sendog and Christian from Fear Factory, Sendog from Cypress Hill. That's been my focus, and I had a bunch of different ideas for bass players for Biohazard, and every time I went back during the pandemic to Bobby and Danny, they were kind of like, yeah, he's cool, he's great, but with this pandemic shit, if we're gonna do it again, let's do it with Evan. And I was just like, I didn't think it was a possibility. I wasn't really into it, and it just kind of weighed on my shoulders. And then one day, Evan called me up, and dude, we bullshitted for a second, and it was on a Zoom call because he's living in Mexico somewhere. And at the time, I'm like, what do you mean you're in Mexico? What the fuck is going on there? Are you on the run or something? But he just, went through a lot of shit, found comfort in living in Mexico. And we just shot the shit. And I posted that Zoom call. And I remember he goes, I see you're fucking still doing it. The Powerflo shit's awesome, and you're killing it with, you just released a new BillyBio video, and I had just dropped the new Leaders and Liars record for BillyBio, and he complimented me on the video. But he's like, "Are you playing out?" I said, "No, it's fucking everything's." I had all these tours canceled, all these BillyBio tours canceled, and I said I jam with a couple of bands. I go on stage and play cover songs for fun, but I haven't toured. And he said, he goes, "So why don't we put the band back together?" And it was like a mic drop. I was like, "Holy fuck." And it was then I was like, you know what? Maybe this can happen. We're all in different places. I never really closed the door on it, but I think just being, drumming up some old past feelings, you kind of got to look past shit and be like, let's move forward and not look back. And we had done a lot of great things together, and that was the beginning of putting the band back together. So we all started talking more, and I had always talked to Danny and Bobby pretty frequently. And then it just happened.
That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear the friendship is still there. I think that's important. I know, it's tough. It's been a lot of stuff over the years. And I think you got to let bands, these things happen. Bands lose members, and sometimes bands lose crucial members. I compare it a lot like what Fear Factory is going through with Dino. I talked to Dino a couple of months ago, and he's like, to a certain level of people are mad hyped that we're coming back out with a new singer. And then there's a whole army of people that don't accept any Fear Factory but demanufacture. And I think Biohazard's another one of those bands, coincidentally, early label, Roadrunner. But I think there's an era of bands where people are just, they want what they want. You can't always give it to them. But this is going to be phenomenal. I'm really pumped for these reunion shows and maybe reunion new music, I heard. So we'll see.
We got a lot of things up our sleeve, bro. It's not a one and done thing. It's great that we're at a position where it gives me a chance to do a little bit more of the things that I didn't get a chance to finish with Biohazard because we split up with Evan. But now that we're back together, be on the lookout for a lot of new stuff we're dropping news about within the next month or so.
Fantastic. And of course,
So-
obviously, Bobby does his thing, and Danny, has other things that he does. Sometimes Kings Never Die and producing and things. So I think it's going to be really refreshing to get, these songs back and this band back the way people remember it. And it doesn't stop you from doing your, Evan's many entrepreneurial things, or those guys and their other projects, or you and your many things. It's just one more thing.
Yeah, I just play music. That's what I do. I love it. I live for it. And it's great to be able to do Biohazard, BillyBio, and Powerflo and not have it compete. So I'm looking to piggyback stuff. And like we talked about, we have a new Powerflo record coming out this year. And then I dropped a new BillyBio record that I didn't get a chance to tour with. So we were trying to pick that up. Maybe I'm going to try to put everything together. I won't be able to do 3 bands, but definitely 2 bands. We'll see.
All right.
You know what? There is one thing I can say publicly. So the first announcement for US is going to be Blue Ridge Rock Fest with motherfucking Pantera, Megadeth, Machine Head, just to name a few of the greats. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be killer.
That is so sick. We cover Blue Ridge every year, and they always do a great job bringing in the big, the reunions. They had Shadows Fall and God forbid this year, and Kitty. So that's amazing. And I knew you would be pumped about Pantera, by the way. I had a feeling.
Yeah, here's a funny thing. We did get an offer to play with them in Mexico. Couldn't do it because 2 of the guys, their names will remain, they'll remain nameless, but 2 of the guys' passports expired. I'm the only guy who tours. So these guys didn't need a passport for years. And so we missed out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're missing out on the first Pantera date because your fucking passport expired? Anyways, so our passports would be good and we'll be ready to go.
No worries. I got to get mine renewed too. So don't worry. I don't feel too bad. Yo, that is awesome news. Thank you so much for sharing, Billy. Power to you. Lucky you're in immaculate shape, and hopefully you can work it all out with the scheduling. I know that's a concern for a lot of people is, the touring right now. Obviously, again, like I said, I think the very first announced show was the Dynamo Festival, which we cover because we have a history back in the Netherlands is where we started. And I know the anticipation is high for these festivals, and hopefully we'll get some US dates announced as well.
Yeah, we actually, like that I can talk about too. We announced the Europe dates, but we have a whole slew of US dates that we're going to be announcing soon. And we're not just gonna, this is our country. We love Europe, we love America. There's a lot of stuff we're planning on it, but I'm looking forward to announcing those US dates.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. And in addition, I can only imagine, I'm sure, some of these shows will be headline shows, and obviously a festival gig is usually the greatest hit set, but, I'm very excited to hear, these classic Bio songs, as well as I love Means for an End. I love that record. I loved it when it came out. I was like, oh my God, this is a record I was waiting for. And, I know things kind of fizzled out after that. So I would hope we get to hear some of that stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been dropping messages on my social media, like, what are your favorite songs? What do you want to hear off this record? We have our favorites, and it's been a while since we played as a band, but it's definitely been a lot longer since we played as the OGs of Biohazard. The other cool thing, Keefy, I'm looking forward to is our social media presence as far as like streaming networks. There's a lot of missing songs, a lot of missing albums. So it gives me a little bit of extra focus and time to get that all organized, because there's missing Biohazard catalog that you can't get on Spotify or Apple Music or any of the other ones.
Word. I remember there was an interview Evan did with Stern a long time ago, probably going back a ways, and he was like, yo, I got to start knocking on the doors of these Warner Brother guys, because he didn't even know, like, the videos are out there for purchase, but maybe the band isn't seeing all the money and things like that. And obviously streaming is very complicated, and we live in a tough age. I always consider Spotify, like, I enjoy Spotify, but I also don't love Spotify for how they operate. They never promised anybody, You know, of course, the guy who helped like create the Pirate Bay is the CEO of Spotify, and they don't pay people. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, I like the availability of music. Like, you know, we were tape kids, we were vinyl kids and cassette kids, and traded tapes with our friends and shit. And, you know, I appreciate that music is so available, but it just sucks that it's hard for the artists to get paid, even in the best of circumstances.
Yeah, dude. You know that, on Levi jeans, and a lot of companies have them. There's a little pocket on your right hip.
Yeah.
It's a little tiny little pocket. You know what that's made for?
Your earnings from streaming.
All the money that you make in the music industry after 1990, 2000. I didn't know that the CEO, the owner of Pirate Bay, is the CEO and founder of Spotify.
He was a coder at Pirate Bay, and he worked for the Pirate Bay and like a bunch of those kind of things. And then he ended up being the CEO of Spotify, Daniel Ek. And, you know, his opinion is that Spotify is a search engine. It's not a moneymaker. And I know, you know, Metallica had a big year on streaming last year because they're Metallica. And I posted that news because, you know, they shared their thing. They're like, hey, we had like 1 billion streams for the year and 1 billion streams for one song cumulatively on Spotify alone. And that's, you know, obviously going to be Enter Sandman. And everybody was joking, you know, oh, ha, 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 Metallica, here's your $4. But like, they're Metallica and they have probably their own negotiated deal, you know, like the big superstars do, as opposed to all the other bands out there that are basically like a DIY enterprise, even when you have a good label behind you.
100%. You know, it was never about the money, and it still isn't about the money. But I remember when that whole shit happened, and I saw somebody wearing pretty recently a shirt that said Lars was right.
Word.
When that shit went down with Napster, people got on him because you're like, you're selling tons of records. It's going to help out the smaller bands and the up and coming bands, which had a validity to it. But I just told this story on my Patreon, and I remember spending 4 hours downloading a song, like a whole album, onto my computer, and then another 4 hours of trying to figure out how to put it on this little player. I went into a meeting in the Village in LA with our managers, Russell Simmons, Leo Cohen, Scott Koenig, rest in peace. And I spent maybe 8 hours trying to do this, make this transfer. In the meeting, after we talked about Biohazard, I asked him, I said, Lior, what about this thing? And he said, you mean those little players with the digitalized music? I'm like, yeah, because nobody cares about that. They want to hold something. They like to hold their music. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I get it. You said the industry said the same thing about CDs, and they were wrong. And with the MP3s, my point was, and this was like 93 maybe, I'm like, but there's a way to I paid for my CD. I put the fucking Biohazard record on my computer from this program, and then that program helped me put this on a player. So I bought one CD, and now I have 2 other copies. So there's 3 copies for one. I said, that math doesn't work out for the music industry. And his rebuttal was, yeah, but people still want to hold their music. And it's true. Vinyl's making a comeback. But if the music industry would have looked around the corner and saw the potential of damage that MP3s could have had, they could have bought out Napster and just paid them a fucking $1 billion and saved the music industry. Now you get a bunch of young bands who I love finding these new bands, but they're trying to come up in an industry that's selling 90% less than it was 15 years ago.
It's madness. And I do understand. I think a great man once said, music's for you and me, not the fucking industry. I'm trying to remember where I heard that before, but yeah, it is wild, and the math doesn't check out. And I always say, I compare the music industry to the film industry. Why did the movie industry let out a few trailers, and then you can't see the entire movie till you go to the movie theaters? And then you have other opportunities to purchase or view based on subscription services. But the music industry is like, nope, take it away. Take it now. We'll give you the whole album before you can buy it. And I think that, that kind of hurts sometimes. And I do love things like Bandcamp. There are other opportunities out there, other streaming platforms. SoundCloud seems to pay for your rap guys and dance music people. But I don't know. It's just a crazy thing. We're not going to solve it, you and I. But you had this figured out 30 years ago, and they still haven't caught up. I hope it gets all sorted.
I didn't have the means to monetize it. I had the idea. something happened with my last record, the BillyBio record, Leaders and Liars, came out last year. And my friend Lindsay, she was checking it out. She was filming, and she put it up and she posted it, like a leak of my record and me talking about, you know, the record. So it kind of fucked me up a little bit, because we hadn't had any plans of when to officially announce when the record was coming out. So we had to scramble, and I did a quick lyric video for the song. I was working on this video for it, and then we announced. But you got to just hustle. When shit happens, you got to take it off the chin and figure out how to way to make it work a little bit better for you. That's it. I mean, in reality is, if it's not about the money, then you're in the right place. You play the music from your heart, and whatever happens, if you know, great. If nothing happens, great. You still had a good time doing it, and your music was real, and your people who like you will follow you because they can see that it was real. They came from the right place, you know?
Word. And just to kick it back to the band for a second, there's still a lot, when I interview a lot of hardcore bands and metal bands, they all cite Biohazard as one of their bands they love. I don't know if you feel that love when you see bands or you see people in person, but that, like, bands are still telling me that era of bands is still hugely important to them, including yours.
You know what I want to do? And this is great. Thank you. Yes. And the minute we announced the reunion, people hit me up left and right that I hadn't heard from years, and young people I've never met before. But what I want to do, and everybody just hit me up on social media, at Billy Biohazard everywhere. I want to put together a cover record of Biohazard songs. So I want to help you have people hear your new music, but it has to be a Biohazard song. So if you've done one or you want to do one, hit me up, and I'd love to hear it and help put it out and draw a little bit of attention to you and your effort and what you got going on as a musician.
That's crazy and awesome. I hope it happens. That would be sick. And obviously, in terms of new music, has there been a discussion of a label, or is that too soon?
All the above, yes.
Right on.
Like I said, we're gonna drop a lot of stuff within the next month or so. What we have going on, it's not gonna be all at once because there's a whole slew of things. The first up is gonna be the U.S. date announcements, and then some other plans that are pretty badass. So
right on. And then
this is just the beginning. 2023 is just the beginning of Biohazard restart. Let's call it the restart, not the reunion.
Right, reloaded, like the Matrix. Yeah, that's really killer, man. I'm very excited, and I love Leaders and Liars, so I'm still excited to see you get out and do shows. Do you still have? I know it's hard to kind of keep a band together that's, you know, comes and goes. Do you still have a core group of people? Are you putting a new band together to back you?
Yeah, my main guys are Rob on bass. He's with Korn. Dan is with Zebrahead, and Fred, who's also the drummer of Powerflo, is with a bunch of different bands. He plays in a prog band that's pretty fucking badass, and he's also playing with this band. Who are they? They were huge in the 90s, like more not my style. It's LA Traffic, Bullet Boys.
Of course, yeah.
Like, what? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Anyway, so they're all touring more than I'm touring. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for us, but I will be doing a lot more stuff once the ball gets rolling here. Nice.
And did you record like an entire other BillyBio record, or you started to write another one, even though you didn't get to tour behind the last one?
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. Yeah, I do have something on my sleeve, and I was planning on releasing that sometime this year. So that I'm laughing because I just got off the phone this morning with my label and trying to make that plan. But yeah, there's a lot of shit going on. I wish I could clone myself. That'd be awesome.
I know. I don't know when you sleep. It seems wild. And then, of course, you know, I know Powerflo record's been done, and obviously, you know, we love Sen, and I know Sen had some issues last year, some health problems, but I hope that he's all good now, and that's also going to happen too.
Yeah, he is, bro, and he's doing great. I just talked to him last week, and we're looking forward to getting that out too, because that's a killer record.
Word, man. What else, anything else you got going on before I let you get back to your traffic? I know you have so many ventures and things you're always working on, producing records, charity, things like that. Anything else you want to promote or share?
Yeah, I'm still promoting the fuck out of Crew Socks. They're
Love
good
it.
people. They do a great thing. Go check them out, crewsocks.com. And let me dial that in a little bit more. It's a veterans benefit that I do shows for, and we help raise money for veterans that are in need of service dogs. Presidential Canine is the benefit, and we did a show, the only show I played since the pandemic, on my birthday in Torrance, California, which was pretty cool. We raised a lot of money for them. But all my stuff is on my LinkedIn and sorry, not LinkedIn, all my social media link for Linktree. It has all links to everything.
Yep. And I'll circle up with Ilka and the fabulous people at Fly PR and get all your stuff to put in the description so people can check it all out and support, of course. And, you know, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm so pumped that selfishly, I wanted this for a long time for you, but I'm also just in general, I think music needs this realism. Like you talked about being real and real good music and real great people and real hardcore and metal. And that's what we need back right now. These are hard times and we need hard music, appropriate amounts of hard music.
Yeah, dude, I think the time is right. And I'm looking forward to hitting the road with the guys and releasing some of the stuff that we have up our sleeve.
All right, man. You know, I'll be at the front of the stage as usual. I will talk to you soon, Billy. Take care and be safe.
All right, yo, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your support. And everybody hit me up on social media. Billy Biohazard everywhere. Peace and respect. Thanks.